As we go through life, we are going to come across people who are difficult to love. That may be people who we just don't get along with on a regular basis, who have much different opinions than us, or just live different lives. But it also might be people who we should always get along with. People like our family, friends, and coworkers can become difficult to love at times and very frustrating to deal with. And sometimes these people who we are close to, like family, are even harder to love because we truly know who they are and we're frustrated with how they're acting. I know there are times in my life right now where it's very difficult for me to love those close to my heart. For example, I have 3 roommates right now who are very dear to me. They are all a couple years younger than me and were teammates of mine on the baseball team at Fox. We are all close friends and get along very well with each other. However, that does not mean we are without conflict. Now, I'm a pretty clean person and like to keep my living area pretty tidy and organized, especially the kitchen. My roommates, on the other hand, not so much. There are always dirty pots and pans left out waiting to be cleaned, sometimes leftover foods are on the counter, and my air fryer is usually caked with grease since it never gets washed out. Oh, and the dishwasher never gets emptied after it's run, so the sink will just pile up with dirty dishes as well. Anyways, I love my roommates. It's not really that bad. I don't want to just bash them. This is just a prime example of an area in my life where I struggle to know how to love. Like when I come home after a week of house sitting and it looks like a bomb went off in my kitchen. I really don't feel like being the nicest to my roommates. Sometimes I choose the passive-aggressive route, and that's really not good. So how can we know how to love? Well, luckily for us, we have the perfect role model in Jesus. Now let's look at 1 John chapter 3 for some insight on how to love like Jesus. Verses 16 through 18 says, "This is how we know what love is. Jesus Christ laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for our brothers and sisters. If anyone has material possessions and sees a brother or sister in need, but has no pity on them, how can the love of God be in that person? Dear children, let us not love with words or speech, but with actions and in truth." Now, I hope none of you guys are in an actual situation where you would have to literally lay your life down for someone else. But I do think the example of Jesus dying for the sins of the world is a great model for how he wants us to treat others around us. Because Jesus was the most selfless man who ever lived, we know that we can love others by being selfless too. Putting your families, your friends, your coworkers, and everyone else's needs above your own. We know how to love like Jesus because we know how Jesus loved others. Now back to 1 John chapter 3. As I read in verse 18, it says, "Dear children, let us not love with words or speech, but with actions and in truth." I can't just keep saying how much I love my roommates, or just telling them that on a regular basis. I need to show them that love with my actions and how I treat them daily. So when I get frustrated after I find the kitchen dirty, I can think and look to my perfect role model of Jesus to know how to treat them. Instead of getting angry and frustrated, I can do what Jesus would do and show them grace. I can clean the kitchen with a good attitude, or I'll politely ask for their help. Loving the people dear to our hearts isn't always easy. I know it's not for me all the time. But I know how to love like Jesus because I know how he has and how he would treat others. So when I'm struggling to figure out how to love my messy roommates, I know I can look to the Bible to find out what Jesus would do. And I know you can too.